It's on? Oh, that's good. That's good. Yes. Yes. Okay, sure will. I apologize in advance for having to pray and run. I have a meeting with another organization in Irwin right after this, so I'm sorry I will have to leave. But let us pray. Father, we thank you for the high and wonderful privilege we have of living in this community. We thank you, Lord, for the goodness and graciousness, the kindness, the charity and decency of the people who live here. As this esteemed council meets tonight, we ask that you would give this group of our leaders your wisdom, your insight, your discernment in what is best for this community. Lord, we thank you for these people who have made an effort, who spend their time, their resources, and their energy preserving and leading this wonderful community we call Unicoi. Watch over this group tonight and give them your blessing and your benediction. For we ask this in the name of Jesus Christ, the Son of the Most High, the Messiah, the Savior of the world. Amen.
Thank you. And we'll stand. We'll this is the flag. Roger, would you like to lead us?
Yes. With allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for attending the meeting tonight. There are requests to speak cards on the back table next to our police chief Hughes, and there are some up here as well. If you would like to speak, we just ask that you document your name. It helps with the, well, I do that all the time before we do that. I always tend to move into the comments. But that's okay. If anybody would like to speak, there's a part to be filled out. Now, I will go ahead and move into approval of the May 20 minutes, which were included in your packets. All we're going to be having for you to review those. Oh, roll call. I'm just going to roll it.
Alderman Lemon,
Here.
Alderman McIntyre,
Yes.
Alderman Radford,
Here.
Vice Mayor Cooper,
Here.
Mayor Bullen.
We're here. We're on. Yeah, thank you. Okay. Now we did the speaking parts, listed minutes, and then I'll bring up one more thing real quick. Minutes included in the packet. Y'all have had time to review them. If they are satisfactory, if someone would like to make a motion to approve those minutes.
Motion to approve.
Second. Okay, Alderman Lemon and Alderman Radford, have a motion and a second. Is there any further comment? Hearing no comments, let's vote please.
Alderman Lemon,
Yes.
Alderman McIntyre,
Yes.
Alderman Radford,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Cooper,
Yes.
Mayor Bullen.
Yes. Okay, I do apologize for kind of jumping, I'm afraid I was gonna miss what I needed to say right now. Amending the agenda is, it's to be done carefully so that citizens don't think we're gonna pull something over without information. But I would like to propose a motion that we amend the agenda to be able to consider the ditching contract with Bowman and Sons that really got worked on very efficiently and quickly. This is one of our portions of road work. And I would like to add that to the agenda and put it in under number 11, it would be item C. If I have a motion, if there's a second.
Second.
Okay, Alderman McIntyre can second that motion. Any further comment or questions on any of the agenda? Okay, hearing none, let's go.
Alderman Lemon,
Yes.
Alderman McIntyre,
Yes.
Alderman Radford,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Cooper,
Yes.
Mayor Bullen.
Yes. Okay, thank you. So we'll add that on under 11C. Okay. Now, we go to opportunity for citizen comments. If there have been papers turned in of a citizen who would like to speak, that will be our opportunity now.
Mr. Collison.
Thank you. Ms. Mayor, members of the BMA, I don't know if this is Lazarus versus Dracula in some kind of bad horror movie, but I would like to request you all table 11B. I thought we had this varmint put to bed, and we had determined that if we put a small addition into R1, which put the minimum lot size, minimum house size to 750 square feet, we'd put this tiny homes problem to bed. I am now looking at something that indicates we're going to deny that petition. And I thought this was stuff that was buried. Joni Mitchell, a songstress back in the days of free love and illegal pot, sang a song that started like, you don't know what you got till it's gone. They paved paradise and put up a parking lot. This latest zoning ordinance includes a hunting preserve and an alcohol oversight. And these folks didn't even bother to highlight the changes. Who's running this game? I just wonder, is it these people at the first district development folks that are running this game? Because I thought we had this put to bed. And if we haven't, I'd like somebody to explain why. Because the zoning changes now, these people have no idea what the hell they're voting on this planning committee. And I think several of them ought to consider trading in their badge.
Thank you, Mr. Carlson. Okay, anyone else from anyone to speak? No? Okay, all right, we move on with the agenda then. We are down to old business. We have ordinance 2024-321. This is second reading, including a public hearing of ordinance 2024-321, which is an ordinance of the County of Unicoi adopting the annual budget for fiscal year beginning July 1 and ending to June 30, 2025. So before the BMA considers, I will close the BMA meeting and open a public hearing. The public hearing is now in session. Are there citizens who would like to speak on the ordinance that adopts our budget for 2024-25? Hearing none, I will close the public meeting and reopen the BMA meeting. Alderman, now it is in your hands to make a motion and a second to approve our 2024-25 ordinance. But
And this also includes the amendment of the budget for the Butch Green.
yeah, it's already included in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, yes, it was already included in there, yeah. We set aside 50,000, yeah.
And make a motion to approve.
Alderman Radford makes a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Alderman Lemon has seconded that motion. So we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion on the budget amendment moving forward? Hearing none. Mr. Williams, let's call for the vote, please.
Alderman Lemon,
Yes.
Alderman McIntyre,
Yes.
Alderman Radford,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Cooper,
Yes.
Mayor Bullen.
Yes. That motion passes unanimously. Unfinished business, none. Other business, none. New business. New business is consideration and approval of an agreement between the Town of Unicoi and Ryan Blankenship for building inspection services for the fiscal year 2024-25. That agreement is in your packet. We did have a short-term agreement with him to give us a little bit more time to figure out how we wanted to move forward with that. But Ryan has made us aware that he is perfectly willing to continue that relationship with us. So we have prepared, City has prepared an agreement for him for the fiscal 24-25 year. So in consideration for that, we will accept the motion and a second from the Alderman. Is there a motion to accept the contract with Ryan Blankenship to provide building inspection services for the Town of Unicoi? I will make a motion that we accept the contract. Is there a second? Just let me say this, if we don't accept this agreement that we have no building inspection services. If that's the direction John wants to go, that's what we'll do. So, no second on that, I guess means that that dies and we do not have a contract with Land Relationship for inspection services. All right, on to the next activity. Consideration of a recommendation made by Planning Commission to deny petition to establish minimum dwelling size. Mr. Pohl, you have reached out to me already. I'm going to let you preface any discussion we may have on this topic.
Thank you, Mayor. We had a question come up, and to kind of give you my thought process, you basically have three things you could do. Consideration of recommendation made by Planning Commission to deny the minimum dwelling size. In my opinion, this is not starting an ordinance process as of yet. It comes up to the, from the Planning Commission to BMA, if it's denied for, as the statute says, if disapproved, shall receive the favorable vote of the majority of the entire membership of the legislative body. In looking at this, and I reached out to MTAS and got Pete Auger was the only one that was available when I talked to him, and then I talked to a couple of municipal attorneys to see how other cities did this. And, Mr. Auger's opinion was, if you do the consideration, it's basically a first reading. You can go on to the public hearing and second reading. In my opinion, I like the three-step process because the first step is figure out what you want to do, because if you make a substantial change to the petition by case law, which is Wilgis versus the City of Murfreesboro, that substantial change requires it to go back to Planning Commission again for their review. And although BMA is not required to follow any recommendation of the Planning Commission, it's just a process. Some of the attorneys I talked to said it should be on the agenda as an ordinance. And if that's the way y'all want to go, that's fine. However, I don't think you can do it at this meeting because it's on the agenda for consideration of a recommendation and not for a first reading of an ordinance. And although the ordinance is in the packet, it's not on the website. So then you have an open meetings issue with adequate notice and reasonably describing the agenda item itself. So that's the second option. First option being you decide what you want to do, and then next month it's a first reading. Second option is you amend it to make it an ordinance at a first reading tonight. Third option is table it. You've got a work session coming up, and you can discuss it during the work session. Because as Mr. Cooper said last month, you can't change it except by ordinance, and you're fixing to review the zoning ordinance and pass it as a whole. So however you want to pursue, I don't think any of the three is wrong. It's just, do you want to take the extra step and discuss it so you know where you're at and not have any issues going back to Planning Commission? Or do you want to put it on the agenda as an ordinance and update the dates that are on the ordinance? The one in the packet has May and June. So that would be a concern, to make sure it's on the agenda for the notice. We'll just table it and work on it in the workshop. That's where you're at.
Okay, the one question I would ask, that's with the 45 days, if it's not passed, if once they come through the DMA, then, well, no, that would be just for the planning board, that's when it would die with that 45 days instead of this one, I think.
Tyler, have we put down a date for a joint DMA planning work session?
No, we have not selected a date yet for
Don't
that.
have a date yet. Okay, that is, to be determined.
Within the next couple of weeks, yes.
Well, I'd like to jump into this one since that's not me. I do have here the amendment procedure, same thing you got. That was in our ordinance 9520, December 1995. Upon the introduction amendment of this ordinance upon the receipt of petition to amend this ordinance, the Board of Mayor and Aldermen shall publish a notice of such request for amendment, together with the notice of final hearing by the Board of Mayor and Aldermen on requested change. Such notice shall be published in some newspaper general circulation in the town of Dennisburg, Tennessee. Said hearing by the Board of Mayor and Aldermen shall take place not sooner than 15 days of publication. Okay. When I first read our agenda item, I didn't catch it. Consideration of a recommendation made by the Planning Commission on June 3rd, 24, to deny a petition establishing a minimum dwelling size in the town of Dennisburg, Tennessee. That does not refer to my petition, and that was put in there at the request of our planner. Our planner has nothing to do with the agenda items on the DMA. That is not my amendment. That's just saying, do we want to go along with what they said or not? This is being back and forth, over and over. This paper right here tells us what we're supposed to do. Either we follow it or we don't. And I get a little upset that we can't do it. But I'm also upset that we've got a planner telling us what we're going to do at the DMA. And that just blows the truth out of me that that's happening.
It is the BMA's responsibility to respond to recommendations from planning.
They
So
are
I don't
a
understand,
advisory.
I don't understand how that wording is just incorrect, because it is the BMA's responsibility. When planning makes a recommendation, the BMA
But
responds.
they are an advisory group only.
Our planning commission?
Yes.
And
No,
they-
no, I said the planners are an advisory
Okay.
group only.
I'm not talking about planners.
Okay.
I'm talking about our planning commission
Yes,
recommended denial. And
yes,
it is the BMA's responsibility to respond.
yes.
So
This
that's what this says that we're doing.
is- Do you want to read this?
This is- I'm talking about what's right here. You don't like what the agenda item is.
It's wrong.
We are considering a recommendation made by the planning commission to deny a petition.
What does it do?
The BMA can override it if they choose to.
No, what does this
The
do?
BMA can override the denial.
But they don't tell us what to do. The planning commission don't tell us what to do.
That's why the BMA has consideration of the recommendation tonight in this meeting.
But next step to do what this thing is doing. As our attorney just spoke out.
Well,
Yeah,
our
and
attorney
just
gave us
to
2 or
give you-
3 options.
And to
He
give
gave
you a
us 3
heads
options.
up, the 15 days starting July 1st changes to 21 days. So just be aware of that. From July the 1st, it's 21 days, which will kind of, since y'all's meetings are 14 days apart, that's going to change that. So be aware.
As mayor, I want to make sure that we are doing things appropriately, and there may be more than one way to do things that is considered still appropriate and legal. There may be 3 different ways to do it, and they're all legal, and they all are going to get us to a point where a determination is made. That's process and procedure. The outcome of this petition and what it's asking for, or the ordinance, that's a whole other topic. So what's in front of us right now is a discussion related to our process. Is that correct? It really is about our process,
Somewhat, yes,
our
yes,
procedure.
yes.
So do you have a recommendation for how we as a BMA should move forward, including consideration for all timeline boundaries, all postings, all Freedom of Information, Open Meetings Act guidelines? Do you have a recommendation today how we move forward in the process to deal with this matter?
I think based on the fact that your zoning ordinance is fixed to be reviewed as a whole, my recommendation would be reviewed at that time.
In that work session that
Yes.
we're planning, just to make sure I'm here using the correct words that we all are agreeing and understanding. So in that case, this would get pushed once again to a planning commission discussion, which again, we have visited.
No,
two or
it'd
three
go to,
times.
it'd go to the workshop that y'all are doing together.
That's what I mean, but it's
Yes.
still a planning commission to talk
Yeah.
about it yet again, because we've done that before as well.
Yeah. Which, you know, you can, because the statute says shall receive the favorable vote of a majority. If disapproved, you know, if you want to take a vote
We can't
tonight,
take a,
as far as if you want to uphold the denial or if you want to make changes, that was my thought process last month. If you make changes, then it could affect the process for the next step. But considering this is a very hot topic, I think your best foot forward would be to discuss this in the work session.
Well, how do you get around 1203, introduction to it? How you gonna get around that one?
If you table it, I don't know what you're referring to as far as 14, whatever.
1203 is on the introduction to amendment to this ordinance. Or those that receive that petition in this ordinance, or mayor office, shall publish an notice of said request for an amendment. At that time, how do you get around that?
I'm not sure if you're getting around it, but I think you're just trying to do it properly. Because you've got more than one factor going on here. You're citing one provision, but you also got state law and case law that kind of factors into all this.
So you're wanting to throw this under the bus and go down the road.
I don't want to throw that under the bus. I just want to give you all the best advice I can give you so that you don't have to do this. This topic's been going on for months. I'm just trying to get it to the point to where it's not back and forth. Like Mr. Colson said, he thought it was already resolved. I'm just trying to get it to the point to where it's finally finished.
But if we could have discussed it today, if you not get it correctly.
True, and I think you can still discuss it. That's what we're doing now. And I think you can actually vote on it, but I don't think your vote is a first reading of an ordinance. I think your discussion and any vote you take just tells us that the next step is first reading.
If we're gonna vote as an ordinance, it has to be on the agenda.
You're not voting as an ordinance. You're voting if you're going to uphold the petition of the recommendation of the planning commission.
So what does that do for us?
It just tells you, if you vote to deny, then it's basically dead unless you want to bring it up during the workshop. If you vote to change it, then it goes to first reading. If you make no changes, or if you do make changes, you go back to the planning commission. Because you may decide 700 feet instead of 1,000. Because your original proposal is 1,000. If you go to 700, that's a substantial change. Substantial change requires it to go back to planning commission. So if you do anything tonight, it's only to give you direction on what the next step is.
Now, is that in our code somewhere, if we change it, gotta go back to planning commission?
That's case law. That's Wilgis versus City of Murfreesboro.
Is that a TCA rule?
That's not teaching, that's case law. Somebody sued the City of Murfreesboro, or I can't remember the other city, and the Court of Appeals and State Supreme Court said, this is what you do. It has to go back to planning. They overturned a prior decision
A slight change or big change?
substantially.
Substantial.
That's the language in the case. Yes,
So if you went to 500, it is substantial.
as
If
I,
you went to 900, it would not be substantial.
that would be an analysis we'd have to make. Because it depends on if you change one, but you got one level, two level. So if you change from 1,000 to 900, how does that affect subsection B? If that changes as you go up in size of the house from one level to two levels, that could be a substantial change because you're changing more than just one thing. And I can't give you a ruling on that till I see the whole.
But if we don't change it, but I keep going back here, one of my problems is
I think we're trying to do what we believe is best for the town. I think, again, I think there are going to be more substantial changes to the proposed ordinance that is being discussed here. My understanding was that the dwelling size would apply over every square mile of the town of Unicoi. And you can't do that to people with agricultural property. I don't believe that would be acceptable. So there's going to be some substantial change. I think this needs to go to workshop. That was the culmination of recent discussion, recent issues. A joint BMA with planning commission workshop to discuss the ordinance. Discuss that ordinance, other issues associated with the planning commission, our planning zoning ordinance. That's where we're going to get discussion that will be productive, that I think we all can figure out a way to get on the same page to do what is in the best interest of the citizens in this town. I don't think that is something that we're going to achieve at this table here tonight. I think we need to wait, discuss it in the BMA and planning, and then move forward when we're clear on what we're really seeking to do. That's why we're here, is what kind of information, or what kind of guidelines do we want out there for building? That's what our goal is. Our goal isn't to do it this way or do it this way or this way, as long as any three of those ways is appropriate. They're not illegal. So I think, to be honest, we've jumped from one way to another way to try to mitigate the complaint that we might have done something illegal. I mean, I think we've made attempts to try a different course, to try to make sure we're within guidelines, and we're jumping around. I think we need to stop, consider it a work session, figure out what we want to put forward, and then move forward with it.
Absolutely, in the minutes of the planning commission, which is almost been a day long, our planner, Corey Haggard, noted the board does have the authority to set these regulations, but it could interfere with the current housing standard act. I don't really realize, I'm really upset that he continues to blow smoke at us. It's time he put up or shut up on that. If there is a standard we're missing, point to us. I'll be glad to shut up. If not, he needs to quit saying it.
I don't think you need to disparage anybody that is trying to provide a good service for the town. I think if there were enough conversation with enough other outside parties, you would discover that that is an issue. And while it may not be illegal, we may not be violating any Fair Housing Authority guideline directly, it does open us to fair housing suits to be challenged. that we would restrict. It does open us up to that. I don't know that somebody would sue us. But that does open a door for somebody. And I've heard that from more than one other municipality. And not municipalities right here. That is true. That is true. So
And
I regret that you feel the need to disparage our planner,
as our
in public
attorney-
especially.
As our attorney has noted, we are legal to do that. I have talked to several towns in the state that has it, and I do the law, and one of these may have talked to them too. So it's not uncommon for municipalities.
It doesn't change the fact that it does open up the door for suits for federal housing liability, which is a civil rights act, which is a federal. It wouldn't be just somebody upset because it fell through the doorway.
Just bring it and
Bring what to you? Did you say just bring it to me?
give me tell me the fair housing act that we can nominate.
Okay, listen to what I'm saying. I didn't say we were violating. I said it opens the door.
Here, I heard.
Okay, so I'm not sure what you're wanting me to show you.
Well,
I'm not telling you, I'm not violating.
Stop.
Okay, I mean,
I'll
I don't
bring, I'll
understand.
bring the Fair Housing Act to the work session. And
Okay.
that way everybody will have a copy. And while Corey and I don't completely agree on that issue, we can have a discussion.
Okay,
thank you.
okay. I'm not gonna be bringing. Okay, all right. We gotta deal with this. We have not dealt with consideration of a recommendation made by the Planning Commission on June 3rd, 2024 to deny the petition to establish a minimum dwelling size. Mr. Alderman, Vice Mayor Cooper has made a motion that we table this consideration section for the evening. Is there a second?
Second.
Alderman Bradford has seconded that. Is there any further discussion? All right, call for the vote, please.
Alderman Lemon,
Yes.
Alderman McInturf,
Yes.
Alderman Radford,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Cooper,
Yes.
Mayor Bullen.
Yes. Okay, and we just need to get that scheduled and make sure we get that on the calendar as soon as we can. Okay, perfect. All right, we are adding, this is where the amended agenda item comes in. Consideration and approval of the ditching bid, accepting the ditching bid from Bowman and Sons Construction. It is, was here at your table, I believe, when you came. There had been discussion in a work session about our ditching, well, budget meeting and in a work session, we talked about what bids we received. Alderman McIntyre and Mr. Williams had got together with Mr. Bowman and very quickly were able to pull together some modifications of the bid that more directly suit what our needs are. So I'll make a motion that we approve this ditching bid. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, Alderman Radford has offered a second for that motion. Now it's time for some discussion. Alderman McIntyre, do you have any comments you'd like to make on the process of working through?
Well, we had, just casual, it worked out really well. And I think he inspired with us. And he said, if we need to tweak a few things here and there, that he wouldn't penalize us as far as price. And he told me, he told us about how many days he'd like to work at a time on that, and about how far apart the jobs need to be and everything. And he said, as long as we don't take advantage of him, let us, and he said that his brother would be on the job at all times. We talked about the quality of work. And I think that his price was, like I told him, I can tell you what you need to talk about. So it all went, I think Tyler agreed, it went really well.
It sounds like
And he seemed like he was anxious to do the work and work with the town. And I asked him, I said, now, if somebody else comes in here and does something, or we need something done, you can't do it, will that bother you? He said, no. So, that was good because it wasn't like a conflict.
Right.
He would think that he just owned all the jobs.
Right.
So I think it pretty well.
Okay, Well, I appreciate that y'all were able to resolve that in just a remarkably small amount of time.
Yes.
So I think that's really good for the town because we can be ready on that as soon as we're ready to start. Because we're way behind. Okay, all right. So we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on this?
Yeah, I was looking at it real quick. I'm very familiar with the bond, probably one of these ones is ringing. I think the contract is good. The only thing we need to have in here is the cost. We didn't put the cost in there. And that has to be in the contract.
It's attached as, it should be attached as Exhibit B.
It needs to be in the contract. I have written hundreds of contracts. You always put the price in the contract.
Mr. Hull, will you review and see if we need to make a revision to that before we make a final signature? And you can advise Tyler and he can see that he gets that done if you see a need. So we can handle that. If we need to make that change, we can make that change before the final gets signed. All right, any further discussion on
Good.
ditching?
Good.
All right. Call for vote, please.
Alderman Lemon,
Yes.
Alderman McIntyre, Alderman Radford,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Cooper,
Yes.
Mayor Bullen.
Yes. Okay, that's the official business for the evening. So now we are down to reports. Economic development.
Hello, hello.
Hello.
Can you hear me well through this
Yeah.
thing? Okay, good. All right, so it's been a minute. Sorry I was unable to make it to the last meeting. I was a little under the weather, but it's good to see everyone again. I'm going to start giving some industrial updates, where we're at, what we're doing, particularly right now as it relates to the 2nd Street Industrial Site in Irwin, which has been the big project for the county, long and ongoing, right? So always something on that. I believe in our budget session that I mentioned that, from our own efforts and from advertising and putting this site out there, that we had received interest. And from a business looking at the kind of parameters that we offer as a county, to bring in sizable investment, good and high paying jobs. What's most interesting though, is that, we went in with some other groups in the county to, work on the Outdoors Festival, right? Rebranding it, Trails and Tunes, and, made that planning effort. And, people wonder kind of how that ties into something like economic development. Why does that matter? What's that really going to bring? And what's interesting is that the vice president of manufacturing for this company had been traveling through our area, heard about the festival, and came to Irwin, for the Trails and Tunes. Rain didn't help us by any means for the overall success of the event, but he got there, he came and met me, and he was like, I hate that you all got rained out. He's like, but I love what you're trying to do here and what you're trying to make in this community. And he's like, you got my vote. He's like, in these meetings, he's like, I'm going to tell our company we should bring these jobs to Unicoi County. So that's why there's this holistic approach to economic development and do these other things that help make the impressions that sell bigger investment and, more things to the county. So, that's just a little success story and kind of how these pieces tie together. Hopefully something becomes of this, still got to follow up, still got to try to, pull them along to the finish line. We got plenty to analyze, so we're hopeful there. We're still helping and incentivizing NFS's expansion. There's been more than what's already been announced. We're working with the state to incentivize that, and there should be an additional announcement coming soon too. So that's more jobs, more investment, folks. All right, so as far as retail recruitment goes, another component. There is a large regional bank that's looking to expand in Unicoi County. I can't mention the name, but my whole goal is to push them in the direction of the town of Unicoi to locate that new branch. I think the real estate's right. I think the location's right. Visibility for them is right, right off that Walmart exit. So the goal is to steer them in that direction through one of my contacts. I've talked to their president, and still probably 3 to 5 years out, but they're making plans now to make that branch expansion. I think it'd be a good thing. So we'll be pushing that. One project that's been kind of floating around, we can't say a lot about, but potential sewer expansion, still in contract negotiations. Can't say final word until we know where we're at with Johnson City and what we can do there. But drafts from the state, how that contract looks, have been provided. So once we have a signature and once we're in a place where we can, notify more, we will make that announcement, to the public as well. Working on a Connected Communities Facilities Grant. It's up to $2 million to create like a community-facing center for digital education, telehealth. Has to have a component of both health and education, but it could be up to $2 million to help us fund something here. Difficult equation to put together there, so I'll have to keep you updated if we can manage to make that happen. Kind of along those same lines, we did win a grant for the Broadband Ready Communities workforce side of things. So we're going to be doing workforce education to help people with technical jobs, work from home. And I did find out today that we did win that officially. Just got to get the award letter in. So hopefully we can do some upskilling there. Another grant I told you we won about the small business education. Now is actually time to implement that. They finally got the contract to me. We won in October and they just now got it over. But we should be implementing that or doing our launch call tomorrow. And then going to be trying to include businesses and things like that, kind of help them figure out how to do best practices when it comes to running a small business. All right. Our marketing grants, the grants that the board itself is offering, I need additional help finding people in the town of Unicoi who want to do this. I've taken to dropping things off directly and really want to make sure we have representation there. Talked to Kathy, she gave me some pointers on who to go to. But anybody who you think might need that extra hand in promoting their business, might need some pointers or some extra funding, that's something we want to do. So point them in my direction, please. One other thing we're doing too, it's called a Field Fest. The Outdoor Writers Association of America. We're partnering with Visit Johnson City to bring these writers here who are going to kind of tell about Unicoi County, write about us, do publications, things like that. And that's a great, community effort or regional effort as well. And hopefully we tell the best story. We had more people sign up here to come visit Unicoi County than any of the other participating counties. Just saying. So we're going to keep that going. Our Trails Master Plan project. And I mentioned this first as an outdoor recreation master plan. We scaled it down, but this whole thing is going to be about extending access to the national forest. We're so much federally owned land in this county. We at least need to be able to, use that for, primarily for trails, hopefully for other things more in the future. But this is kind of cut our teeth on how to deal with these folks at the National Forest Service. So we'll see how that goes. This consultant will be providing the details of, how to expand access, who to go through, what are the costs. One thing that could be hugely beneficial to the town of Unicoi will be a new route to Red Fork Falls. So, right now it's a cool place to visit, but it's a little treacherous to get there. You're climbing down rocks, climbing down, tree roots and all that stuff. But to have a different path come from the base and up, could provide an easier access to a lot more people and be a draw, through here. I know it's not technically in the town of Unicoi, but close. So things like that we could, stand to gain and, benefit from, I think, as a whole community. Last thing, we're working on expanding also the Unaka Mountain Bike Park. We're doing another regional effort through an app called Trail Pilot, which will bring more people through because it's kind of like a guided tour for your mountain bike expedition. And you can also do little blurbs about the county and things like that. And that's, again, it's a regional effort. So we'll be up there with Boise, Idaho, Bentonville, Arkansas, and other big hubs for outdoor recreation. So that's generally what I got. Any questions?
The biggest thing that a lot of the citizens have questions on is sewer line.
Right.
Now, they just want to the county authority.
Mhm.
Y'all can't live this out.
Right.
Somewhere we've got to be involved in some issues and questions that citizens have.
Mhm.
Okay, well, there's a whole bunch of issues that have to be resolved.
Yeah.
A whole bunch.
Yes.
I have talked to your boss about it.
Yeah, I pointed him in your direction. I was like, I think it'd be better coming from you. He knows how utilities work a little better than I do.
So anyway,
Yeah.
I think the citizens are concerned.
Yep.
It's going to be a great help to Buffalo Valley.
Mhm.
The worst thing about it is it's not going into Buffalo Valley right now.
Mhm.
It's just going to Buffalo Valley.
Mhm.
And I think that's one of the things that
So, yeah, so in the developer's agreement, and as Johnson City's hired a realtor to market that property, and she's got different developers, different folks interested. And, what they would do is, if we had that much accomplished, which we're still not too necessarily guaranteed yet, we would then, work with them in a developer's agreement where they would build the sewer out to that point. And that's pretty typical, pretty standard. There are some towns that agree to help with infrastructure like that. And that might be a question that the developer brings to this board. And that'd be a decision on this end. Do you want to incentivize that? Is it worth it? Considering we don't have a property tax in Unicoi, you raise those questions. There is a runoff from the sales tax and things they spend when you have new residents, and we can kind of calculate that, see the benefit or not. Right now, our biggest concern is, you have to operate this utility as a utility. And is Johnson City doing their part? Are we doing our part? What are the long-term costs? And does this fit in with that arrangement? And so I think we got to make sure that contract is settled before we can even move into public comment, because are we even going to get to that point? We're hopeful, we're optimistic, but you know how these things work. You really got to be ready at the finish line before we cause too much of a fuss.
We still owe hundreds of thousands of dollars on the other side.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think people will be jumping to nothing.
Right. Yeah.
So there's a lot of questions, and y'all need to sort of keep us in the loop, not leave us out.
Yeah. Yeah. That's I think Lee's aware of that too. And we're at a really close point where we're ready for what's going to be next. So I think we gotta
When
plan
do we
that.
anticipate knowing if we get it? I know right now it's up there now.
Mm-hmm. So, right now we have the language that's been passed down from the state. We got to talk to Johnson City Water some more and, again, make sure these things all going to check out. I'm not going to give a date on that because I'm not the one that's going to sign that, but soon. I would imagine in the coming weeks, we should have this set up.
As I understand, this all has working in conjunction with their
Stream bank mitigation.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep. Yeah, which is another level of bureaucracy.
Yes.
Yeah. So there's so many hoops to navigate, and in these meetings, very hesitant to say the wrong thing because the wrong thing will catch wind often faster than the right thing. So it's it's getting close, and it's going to be a really big improvement. I know several people whose lives it's going to improve down through there who will be benefiting from their own aging infrastructure. Those septic tanks don't last forever down through there either. So I really hope this is going to be a big community win for all of us soon.
Well, one thing that I wonder about, if the development doesn't put in the Buffalo Valley,
Mhm.
is it cost effective to put only 3 houses you're picking up?
So the state is the one who's providing $10 million. So we get out on the cheap, and they have decided through their analysis and their scorecards that the potential it could bring is worth the investment. It is worth the risk, and that's on them. Whether it pays off or not, they're willing to risk it on us. So I think we should appreciate that. But if not, we help a few homes who needed it anyway, and otherwise would not have been helped. So I see it as a win, and I think those developers and stuff will be interested. But as it goes, Johnson City also might consider alternative options to their stream bank mitigation credits. Depends on what a developer offers. It could end up being more cost effective for them to sell the land to that developer and follow through with that stream bank mitigation project. That's yeah. So that's something that they're sorting out themselves because they're also worried about the long-term operating costs for that too. Because it may be, potentially up to several million now, but if you're on the hook from now to the end of time for maintaining that, have you really made money?
But y'all seem to love that, because they get rid of those to the treatment plant.
They do, yeah.
Yes.
This is all, yeah. So we got to make sure that we don't end up on the wrong end of this deal because right now Johnson City's about to take home millions of dollars, get rid of their liabilities, and yeah, how. it is.
Thank you, Austin.
You're very welcome.
Thank you. And we look forward to future updates.
Of course.
Thank you. Okay, next couple of announcements. If Lisa's got enough wind in her sails, thank you, Austin. Humble.
Yeah. We did have the prom for our senior citizens, the senior adults. We had a pretty good turnout and they all enjoyed themselves. They got out and danced and had their pretty dresses and suits and stuff on. Our next thing is the ice cream social. There'll be water games and stuff for the kids. and other games too. I don't know about filling backpacks or anything this year. But we will be doing something for the kids to do, like a back to school thing for them to play in the water and have fun before they have to go back to school. And that'll be on the 29th of July from 2 to 4 or 5, I can't remember. But I think it's from 2 to 4. And then we're going to try to get the community involved in this. We're wanting, if children and adults, if they will find a rock, it's as big as your hand, and paint it. It don't matter what color it is. If you want to make it a rainbow color, it doesn't matter. And put it in a plastic bag and place it on the table on the porch of the cabin. We're going to take it and we're going to make a snake in our flower garden out there. So it'll be a colorful snake that where people, the kids can come and see. And that's my rock, and everybody can get them involved to do something for
What kind
them.
of paint do you have to use?
It's just something that will last
Oh,
on the outside. You
yeah.
can spray paint it or whatever.
Okay. So
Be something that they can just put and you can see it. And we'll line them up as we get them, and they can come and look at their rocks and stuff. Oh, we still, as you pull in and when you're pulling out, you can't see because of the brush and stuff. The trees that's grown up there, and you can't see to pull out. So that's a danger to people. If they come in, they're trying to pull out, they can't see to the right.
Are those trees down?
They're in the ditch, so kind of on the side of the ditch on this side. So they need to be kind of trimmed. It's a hazard.
See, that's not coming in. Okay, all right, thank you, Lisa. Okay. Planning Commission.
Okay. The County Uniform Planning Commission met on June 3rd, 2024, under new business, consideration, discussion of ordinance to amend the municipal code to set minimum dwelling sizes within the town of Uniform. This ordinance would allow for a minimum of 1,000 square feet. Our state law gives the municipalities the ability that minimum size homes can be regulated for what is reasonable for the community. During discussion, some members did not agree with the minimum dwelling size. It was also stated that 850 to 900 square feet was reasonable, as there is a home already a little under 1,000 feet built, or 1,000 feet built, with two more to be built close to the same size. After discussion, the board voted on the minimum of 1,000 square feet homes to be denied. The vote carried with 4 votes voted yes, 1 voted no, 1 abstained, 1 was absent. This will go before the BMA for final approval. And also consideration, discussion of zoning ordinance update. After discussion, which included digging on the town right of way, a motion was made to approve the updated zoning ordinance contingent with changes that are made. The board voted unanimously to approve. It will go before the BMA for final approval with 2 readings and a public hearing. And the board was also presented a copy from Jan Bogan, the new chairman of the Canarsie Board, referring to the sign at the intersection of Uniform Road and Uniform Village Place. The request was to put signage on the bar slot at the entrance of the Welcome Center that is currently running. Canarsie will pay for it. Our First Tennessee Development Agency representative stated there shouldn't be any problem as long as the sign conforms with the other signs that are there. And there was no BZA meeting due to lack of more agenda items.
Okay, thank you. All right, Mountain Harvest Kitchen.
In May, MHK was running for 80.5 hours to 6 processing members. You can see the breakdown of the hours per member. And then you can go through and see our revenue based on the hourly booking and the storage revenue. We did have a user join. Their fees showed up in the May month. So those fee revenues are in there as well. I will note that Creative Energy booked the kitchen exclusively in the month of May. So that doubled our revenue for this month, because they used it for, I think it was 21 hours, for 2 days. So, that was with them doing the exclusive rate. That's a higher rate than our normal hourly rate. So that did double our revenue for this month. So next month you will see a decrease just because there was not a exclusive booking for in June so far. So next you'll see the month-to-month comparison. So it's just our numbers based off last month. We had 5 tours. A lot of them are still in the beginning stages, but they're more of the manufacturing food business, whether it's like spices or sauces. We do have a lady that's interested in making homemade butter and selling it. So we have some more users potential users that are interested in the manufacturing aspect of food business. The past 4 or 5 users that have joined just recently were all like food trucks or a catering business. So this is a different type of food business that is also showing interest in the kitchen. And I'm going to let Amber talk a little bit about what she's been doing, if you want to share anything.
Well, I am ServSafe certified now, which was a requirement for the kitchen. I've done some organization over there, and I've met several of our food users, our clients as well. I have a lot of ideas to help improve the kitchen, and we did finish up our grant and ordered the rest of our promotional material, which I'll be taking to Career Quest in the fall, and that's going to be a very excited, fun advertisement for the kitchen.
And that's it for MHK.
Okay. And Freedom Fest is coming up.
Yeah, well, that's next.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's right. That's behind Parks and Rec. Okay, next.
We got to keep it
That's
separate.
right. That's right. So many
So-
hats.
Yes. So the Strawberry Festival went really well. We got our final numbers in, and I reviewed over all of our notes with Amber, and just how things can continue to be improved, what it works well, what things that could be changed if any issues arise. But we came in right under 9,000 in revenues from the booth sales, sponsorship, and merchandise sales. So that's a great. I think that's. I mean, I might be wrong, but I think that's the highest revenue that we've had since we've been making revenue from the Strawberry Festival. But we can go back and look at that just to make sure I'm not wrong on that. Don't hold me to it.
Sounds good. Let's just leave it right there.
Don't hold me to it. Freedom Fest is going to be on July 4th. There's still construction going on at the school. It's not fully completed yet, so the fencing is still up around the new gymnasium. So the seating that we normally use is limited. So we're going to keep the layout that we had last year. There was some issues with viewing because of the street lights, but we've worked with Irwin Utilities and they are going to get those turned off. So that will improve that. And that will give us some better visibility than last year. This week we'll be working on promoting, this week and next week, promoting it on social media. We have some ads running on the radio and in the Irwin Record as well. So promoting that will be going on. We had a food truck rally on May 23rd. It benefited the public library and $170 was donated to them based off the sales that were made from the food trucks. Came directly from the food trucks to them. We just act as the facilitator. Turnout on that was pretty good as well. We had the community yard sale on June 8th. There was 14 vendors. People in the community brought their stuff. Kathy was one of them. There was
Got rid of some of my stuff.
yeah, there was a great turnout. The weather was really good. And people seemed to, there was a high volume of sales made that day as well. So people were able to get new things and people were able to get rid of some. So it was a good turnout overall, and I think everybody had a good time. Our next food truck rally, and there's a date change on this. There's been a conflict with some of the food trucks, so we're going to be moving it to August. So it will be August 22nd. That is the fourth Thursday. There's 5 Thursdays in August. It's the 4th, the 22nd. That has been a conflict before, so I'm just double checking. That will benefit the Unicoi County Prevention Coalition, and it'll be Thursday from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. I just made a little note that Amber is going to be a great asset to the town. We've been working together for the past few weeks, and she's very energetic and has a lot of energy and is very ambitious with the projects. We've talked a lot about things that like I did want to do, but never got the chance to get to them. So she's really interested in some of the ideas that I had, and is going to continue to bring those ideas, and she has some great ideas of her own as well. So if there's anything else you want to say on that.
One of those ideas is the Arboretum at the Buffalo Creek Park and the Bogart Cabin and the walking trail. So getting the Arboretum recertified and updating the walking trail. I've also been taking photos of our parks to update our website photos. I haven't updated them yet, but I did put them on the Tennessee TN Vacation partner pages. So I've got those websites up for the town.
There's still a few more things that I'll be guiding her on, and she'll be by my side on the Freedom Fest as well. So we still have a lot to learn just because there's so much that we face in this position. And but this will be my last BMA meeting. So, I've talked to most of you already, but I just want to thank you all for inviting me in and letting me be a part of this little community. I grew up here. I love it here. Don't plan on leaving this area. So I'm not saying goodbye forever. I'll still be around. But I just want to thank you all and the citizens as well for just letting me continue to call this place home.
She's getting married on Saturday.
Yes.
So, woo! A whole lot going on in that girl's life. All right. Thank you, Laura. And thank you, Amber. Thank you. Thank you. Both. Okay, now, I won't skip ahead, but I will. Okay, let me make sure I stay in order, because y'all all do that. All right. Police Department.
Forest Police Department had 218 calls this month, 31 citations, 10 code enforcement, 24 incident reports, 7 arrests, 5 accidents.
All righty. Municipal Court.
We had a total of 22 tickets for the month of May. Total revenue before litigation tax was $4,836.25. After all the taxes were taken out and fees, we had a net revenue of $3,663.87 for the month of May, which is a drastic increase from what we had been seeing previously. So thanks to our officers for staying on top of everything and making sure that mainly speed limits enforced.
Okay, all right, good job, thank you. Recorder's report.
As it relates to infrastructure, Bowman and Sons Construction is almost completed or has completed the ditch repair on Springbrook Road. They've really rehabilitated that whole upper section of that road right as you get to Marvelton. And that's been about a 4-week process. They told us 6 weeks. They've completed it under the timeline that they quoted to us. And so we're pleased with that, and we thank them for their hard work, as well as Watts Paving. They're coming in and doing the paving portion. Ridgewood Road was completely repaved from start to finish. Ridgewood, and the ditch was also cleaned to avoid future problems and damage to the new asphalt. Oaks Road, which is off of Marvelton, above Springbrook in that area, there's a large hole that's going to be repaired starting this week. So they're going to be taking care of that. And that's pretty much going to wrap up our projects for this fiscal year. Since we only have a few weeks left, that's going to wrap that up. Massachusetts Avenue, there's been no update that I've gotten since we met last month, other than that the state awarded us the contract and we've signed it. Mayor Bullen signed it and sent it back in, and it's just a waiting process at this point for Massachusetts. Our maintenance crew has been working along with Laura to get ready for Freedom Fest. They're trying to do some end of year preparations to make sure everything's squared away the way it needs to be. And we've been working and doing training on our iWorks software to have a uniform place for citizen requests and complaints. So they've been, they've had a good attitude about it, been doing the training, and I think it's going to be a great asset once we get that up and going. The last thing I'll mention are on this report would be our bids that we sent out. Those were due back on June the 10th. That was for mowing, right-of-way, ditching, and snow removal. We've already talked about the ditching. That's been approved. The mowing is going to have to be reworked. So Alderman McInturf and I are going to talk about a road list and work on that mowing situation. And then Alderman McInturf spoke with Road Superintendent Mr. Haynes in Unicoi County, and he's going to do our snow removal as he's done in the past. So we will have to work on a new contract for that. Last thing I'll say related to recorder's report, I'll be welcome to Amber. Glad to have you on the team, and we thank Laura for her dedication and service to the town, as we've already mentioned tonight. But we appreciate both of them and wish both of them the best in their new endeavors.
That's all that's all right, thank you, Tyler. I guess you were ready for financial report.
Yes. So if you take a look first at your balance sheet, it's included in your packet. Our current cash on hand is $1,814,528.96. Our ARPA funds are at $424,042.81. We have a total balance of $355,509.75 in CDs. That's 2 at Mountain Commerce Bank, 1 at First Horizon. So all of our assets are positioned very favorably in investments. We've got a lot of it in local government investment pool, earning over 5%. So I think we're very well positioned to make the most of our cash on hand. If you'll turn over to your summary financial statement. In the general fund for the month of May, the revenue was $239,520.84. Year-to-date revenue is $2,179,527.42. Our expenditures for the month were $204,290.89. Year-to-date expenditures of $1,776,302.92. Our net income for the month, $35,229.95. And our net income year-to-date has been $403,224.50. So throughout the month of May, we've had a very favorable financial year. The Mountain Harvest Kitchen, the revenue for the month was $2,080.50, and expenses were $6,306.54. That represented a loss of $4,226.04. Year-to-date, we've spent $84,254.80, and our loss has been $51,843.43. And lastly, on the drug fund, we had income this month of $188.10. And if you will look at your graphs that are provided for you, the first is your state shared taxes. So for the month of May, we received $55,651 in state shared tax. That's up around $15,000 from last year as amount, and the year to date is $477,679. And then for our local option tax, for the month of May, we had local option of $84,312. That's up around $5,000 from last year's amount. And our year-to-date local option is $966,682. And then the last thing in your packet are our line item budget amendments that were made during the month of May in order to equal out our line items, and those are provided for your information.
Alderman, you've had an opportunity to review the financials and you've heard Charlie Bigby's report on the financials. If anyone would make a motion for approval,
Motion to approve.
Alderman Radford has made a motion to approve. Is there a second? Vice Mayor Cooper has made a second to that motion for approval of the financial report. Is there any further discussion or questions? Hearing no further questions or need for discussion, I will call for the vote, please.
Alderman Lemon,
Yes.
Alderman McIntyre,
Yes.
Alderman Radford,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Cooper,
Yes.
Mayor Bullen.
Yes. Okay, thank you for that. Is there any other announcements? Okay, go ahead, Mr. Keller, do you have an announcement?
Town Hall and offices will be closed on Thursday, July the 4th for Independence Day. That's the same day as our Freedom Fest, which is 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. And we've already talked a little bit about that. Planning Commission, Board of Zoning and Appeals will meet Monday, July 1st at 5:30 here in Buffalo Conference Room. BMA will meet Monday, July 15th, 5:30 Buffalo Conference Room.
And we will have our first work session. Would
Yes.
that be right, on the July 15th? On July
Work
15th, we'll
session.
have our first.
And we
work
will also
session.
have a work session. We're going to start for the fiscal year beginning July 1st. The BMA will have a work session from 4 to 5 p.m. before each meeting each month with a break in between. And those work sessions are open to the public, but we will have those starting July 15th. And also mention the strategic planning with MTAS will take place on July 17th. And that'll be all day in this room with every employee and all board members of the Town of Unicoi.
And then we're on getting coverage report and others. Okay. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, any other announcements from anyone?
I have an announcement. Tomorrow, the 18th, at 10 o'clock, we're going to welcome the new baby box at the EMS.
Safe Haven,
Baby
baby.
box, and it's going to be the 10th of those in the state. That's a miracle.
That's at the EMS site down on Omega Avenue, 10 o'clock. There will be a representative from Safe Haven there. They will receive a blessing by the Methodist minister at Centenary Methodist, and a couple of speakers and dedication to the box, which is an alternative location for most often a mother that it's an option instead of leaving the baby in a bathroom or side of the road or somewhere else. They can leave their baby in this Safe Haven baby box, which is temperature controlled. There's a message in there. There's a little pack of things that the mama can take with her. Totally anonymous, no cameras, nothing. But as soon as the door is closed on the baby box, an alarm goes off. And it alerts EMS, alerts 911, and somebody immediately can be there then to remove the baby from the box and, process whatever needs to happen at that point. If they need medical care, they get medical attention right away, or they just get care. They get taken care of. So, it's an alternative to just leaving the baby somewhere in a time of desperation. So it's a good thing. All right, I just, one more thing I'll say about that, the woman that started it, was a baby that was found on the side of a road. And as an adult, and just dealing with her pain, she turned that pain into something that she felt like she could do as a service for other babies out there. So, anyway, just saying. It's at 10 o'clock, and we'll be down there. Anything else? Motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. All right, thank you. Okay, okay. And the crazy, yes, yeah, and yeah, you can't keep putting stuff off like that. Yeah, you never get it done.